Labour and Conservatives arguing with each other day in, day out. Not a lot of actions happen. They blame each other for everything, and I'd like to put an end to it. I'd like to ask these voters out here to vote for change. You don't have to vote for me, vote for anything but them.
If we have a clear message, a clear vision, a clear direction of what we want to achieve in the neighbourhood of Gosport, Stubbington, Hillhead and Lee-on-the-Solent, then we don't need to be negative, because this is a marvellous place to live. I'm really excited every time I go down to the waterfront at dusk, and it's magical, absolutely beautiful, one of the most lovely places in the world to live. And I want to stay here for a very long time, and I don't think there's anything that's going to drag me away. But one of the things I am aware of is that when we do come up with clear ideas about what we want to do, about our environment, about our roads, about our hospital, about our houses, about our families, that there are some people that can't cope with that, and so they descend into the gutter again. A recent High Court ruling was made about the gutter politics in Gosport, and I'm very glad that the judge made it very clear that my party was one that has not engaged in those gutter politics, and it made it very clear that we've not necessarily always had the right policies, but on this we have had the right policy not to descend into the gutter. Already in this campaign, for some reason, somebody thought, well, we better make it negative, that Graham spent a considerable amount of time working with physically handicapped people and prisoners in Romania. And so a lie had been put out saying, well, Graham might be local, but he spends most of his time in Romania. Well, in the past that was true, but it was made as if it was current. And then something else that was put in the paper saying, do we really want a Romanian representing us? Well, I'm sorry. I had a word there, but it didn't actually change me genetically to be British. And so lies come from somewhere. The deceiver of the brethren. And one thing that I'm very grateful for is that I'm surrounded by people that belong to churches and neighbourhoods in Gosport that will keep this clean and hopefully keep me on track, because we're all vulnerable to this. When a person's put under pressure, what comes out is what's inside. I hope that that will remain sweet and British.
Life's too short for negative campaigning. Again, we're in a Christian environment. Jesus was the great reconciler. I happen to believe, and I've mentioned this on my website, that an independent candidate potentially has a better chance of working with the local councillors, particularly in my case, as I have 25 years of insider knowledge as a local government officer. I know about report writing, I know about informing politicians, so effectively it will be quite easy for me to cross the fence. And working locally to local politicians, in my opinion, is not greatly different to working with politicians in Westminster, or as a politician in Westminster, because I know how the systems work.
Yes.
One of my campaign policies, one of my pledges, is that I will not negatively campaign or politically attack in a personal way any of my opponents, and because I do feel that that is one of the most one of the biggest things that turns people off of politics is when you have people making personal attacks on each other. Obviously, we have differences in opinion on policy, and obviously we all feel very strongly about our own personal opinions, otherwise we wouldn't be here, we'd be sat at home watching Britain's Got Talent. So sometimes we will disagree about them, and sometimes we will get very cross about what we feel that the other parties are doing wrong. But I feel it only ever gets to the point where that really turns off the voter, when that turns into a personal attack, like Graham said, someone called him Romanian. So far, the only person that's done that, and I'm sure it's completely by accident, Graham has made allusions to people ducking the issues and airbrushing the situation, and I'm sure that was completely accidental. But so far, other than that, hasn't been personal or attacking anybody else, and long may that continue, because I think that is the one thing that really turns off the voters and makes them want to vote against any of us.
Thank you, Carmen. I know I've spoken to a number of people about this issue. I myself personally am going to stick to the issues and exactly what it is that I believe in. We've had a couple of conversations on this one ourselves, so I do think that politics does need cleaning up. And I think all parties have been guilty of that at one time or another. One of the things I think might actually do some good is if we do end up with a hung parliament and people do have to start working together. Because I have worked with a number of people here. I've worked with Labour and I've worked with some very nice Conservative councillors on the council. And I think the image that people have of what goes on inside that council is probably, so we say, swayed by what they read, sometimes in the gutter press and in letters and etc. in there. Now, I think we have in Gosport a good bunch of councillors who work very well together, myself, and I'm very proud to stand next to Conservatives and Labour councillors who have the best interests of Gosport at heart. Whether we agree on policies or not, I think we have to work together. And that's the only way forward. It really is. We do need to clean this up.
Andrew?
Yes, there's no point in slapping each other off. We're here to make a positive difference for you. And I won't get involved. I mean, yes, in private we make jokes about duck houses and things. My daughter, when she found out I was a candidate, said, "Oh, are you going to put compass cleaning and debt polishing on your expenses then?" It's out there, and we can make a joke of it, but it was very serious, and we can't afford to let that colour what we're doing now. We're being very serious about what you want as voters, and the policies are much more important. And when it comes to our personalities, there's no point in slamming each other up. We're all human beings. It appears that we're all Christians as well, so you've got a very hard choice to make between us. And I don't envy you making your choice.